Hello everyone and welcome to the Magic Beans podcast. This is episode 19 and my name is Cracker. I will be your host for this cast and I'm joined by a couple of the crew. We have Scott the Blaster Boy. How you doing, Scott?
Good evening. Very good. Very hot.
It's a warm night here in Melbourne. And we also have Chewy. How you doing, Chew?
Good, thanks. I thought you were just talking yourself up there, Scott, because, you know, handsome man.
I am a fire burner after all.
He does love throwing fireballs at people's faces. What can I say? All right, so we've got a few things to talk about. We are absent one Shorty this evening. He is not feeling so great. We've got a few things happening this weekend, so hopefully he feels better. Good luck, buddy. I hope you will recover in time. But we've still got a few things to talk about. We got up to some nonsense recently, and we're going to kick things off as we usually do with a Blaster Watch. So, Scott, what's been happening?
Well, it's actually been a pretty quiet fortnight for me in the Blaster Watch world, I suppose. So I haven't played an awful lot of Magic the Gathering, if I'm perfectly honest. I've played a few arena games here and there just to, while my wife's raiding. It keeps me entertained. And I'm trying to get my...
One job.
I know, just get my levels up. That's all it is. but I've been trying to get my ranking up. I'm sitting in around the upper tier of silver at the moment, so I'm almost gold. So I'd like to get there, but probably by the next week or so at least, finish on gold. But apart from that, not a lot of Magic. I would like to give a bit of a shout out though to my nephew, and hopefully viewers of Chewy's videos will see the result when they next watch one of his videos. But he's put together, he's taken the music that we use at the start and at the end of our podcast, and he's created an animated intro based around our logo, and it looks pretty cool. So I think we're all pretty happy with the result from that. So hopefully we'll see that fairly soon in the next YouTube that Chewy puts together.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Shout out to Billy, and I think I can incorporate that into the start of our stream as well, into the sort of splash screen that we use when we stream to Twitch, which we've just started doing. So if you haven't checked us out on Twitch, at Magic Beans on Twitch, find us there, and probably streaming once a week, getting up to some nonsense and shenanigans.
Yeah, please come hang out and chat. It's pretty lonely at the moment. It's just me, mostly. Some of the other guys drop in and out. But,
I dropped in one night and there was no Chandra, so I just I couldn't do it. We
can rectify that. We did play some Mountains at one point, along with all four other colours. But I guess plug for the Twitch channel. I'm gonna try to stream sort of once a week if I can, and then hopefully you guys get the chance to jump on sporadically as well. And so if you want more Chandras, Scott, just jump on and stream them Chandras, man.
I should jump on one day and just play Cavalcade against you or something like that.
Yeah,
do that on Twitch.
Challenges. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
I'm up for that. Yeah, okay, done. All right, well, we've got
nice. All right.
We just created content. Look at us.
Perfect. and we'll make sure that we start tweeting when we're going live and stuff. We'll put it up on
I keep
Facebook
getting to do
so
that.
people can see. But we're new to this whole content creation game, despite us being massive nerds.
I try to tell my wife that she's now married to a content creator. She's not impressed.
Listen, as long as you don't go, I'm an influencer.
Oh,
yes, then we'll be alright.
If you make as much money as Ninja, let me know.
I'm aiming for PewDiePie.
I was trying to set a realistic goal, but yeah, okay, that's fine.
The other night, Shorty was saying that his son Dylan was thought Matt was famous, thought Chewy was famous because he was on the TV. Because Shorty had the stream up on screen.
I'll take it.
Dad, he's famous. Yeah, well, I mean,
is he though?
He is if you say he is, Dylan. He is if you say he is.
Yeah, it's all subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all fun as well.
Yeah. So, Scott, you were saying before we hit the record button that you'd actually dipped your toe into the water on a different game, and that's been taking up a little bit of your Magic time. What's that game called again?
Yeah, it's called Traitors.
Traitors. Yeah. If Shorty was online right now, that'd be it. That'd be the end of the podcast, and I'd be dropped.
Yeah.
But it's called Legends of Runeterra, which I think a lot of people are starting to hear a little bit more about. So it's made by Riot, the people behind League of Legends.
Oh, okay.
And it's a combination of your Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. So
is it League of Legends style art, or is it something completely different?
Really, it's really nice animated art. It's good stuff. So I've only played it all the way through the intros and the pre-decks. So I'm sort of now at the stage where you can start to earn cards to make proper decks. But it's got more of a Hearthstone feel to it, though, than it does a Magic feel.
So it's not as good as Magic?
No, I don't think it is yet.
Okay.
I'll play it some more, but at the moment, if I had to choose between playing, say, my Cavalcade deck or playing one of these games, I'd always go Cavalcade, but then I don't really know an awful lot yet about what this game has to offer because I've only played the intros and the tutorials and that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of tutorial, but it's totally free, so anyone can download it. It's in open beta at the moment.
Okay.
You just have to create a Riot account and you can download it from there. What I do like about it, though, is that I think they're going to send it straight to Android and straight to iPhone, which includes also your iPads, which is something that Magic is still failing to do.
Still
at this
waiting
stage.
on that one, Wizards?
Yeah, so I mean, the moment Wizards, I hope they do. I mean, I'd love to see Arena go to an iPad because I think so many people would lose so much time.
So much time.
Could you imagine it? You'd be sitting in bed, just play. but this game is going to do that or work.
Yes, I think that's the problem, right?
I won't talk too much about that particular game because it's not Magic, but it has distracted me enough that I got the beta invite, played it for a little while, and before I knew it, I was playing it a little bit more than I wanted to, and at the stage where my wife was sitting next to me during one of her raid nights and told me off because I wasn't playing Magic Arena. So I would like to give it more of a go, but at this stage, Magic is still the game to go to.
Just a PSA to Ronnie there. Thanks for keeping him on the straight and narrow. It's very good. I appreciate your hard work. I imagine it's not easy at times.
I've got the bruises to prove it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, dear. Speaking of things that you didn't do, Scott.
Yeah.
You didn't chaos draft with us. We finally managed to get it all together, and you had prior engagements, unfortunately.
Yeah, I caught up with a mate of mine, and I hadn't seen him for a while, so I thought it was an opportunity to sort of go out with them and see them. And it's admittedly, since I've actually seen him, we've been talking a lot about another game, a tabletop game, Age of Sigma or Warhammer, and he really wants to get back into that. So I don't know if it was maybe it would have been a lot cheaper and easy for me just to go to the Chaos Draft, because then I wouldn't have.
Well, I'd already spent the money on the booster pack, so it was actually a free event.
It would have been a free event, so there you go. It would have been a free event, and now I'm up for all this plastic crack cost that Warhammer's going to throw my way
instead of the cardboard crack. Exactly. So, Cracker, why don't you tell us what a Chaos Draft is for those who don't know?
It's a draft where you have utter chaos. It's a draft where you've got just random packs. So instead of a traditional draft where you would now have 3 packs from the same set, and everyone else has 3 packs from the same set, Chewy had like 16 different types of packs, I think.
I think I had... So 24 packs. I think I had 22 unique sets.
There you go.
So everything from... I think the furthest we went back was Darksteel.
Dissension.
Yeah, Darksteel, then Dissension. Right up to... Probably Dominaria was the newest set, I think, that we had.
Were they all in Russian?
No, they were...
No.
all English sealed booster packs. And yeah, it was very, very fun to open those. We put the boosters all in a box and shook the box around a bit, and I did 3 laps of the table and people just grabbed a random booster, and I think we had 1 double up, so we returned that. So everyone had 3 unique boosters. The double ups that I had were the ones that had Invocation or Expeditions in them, because I was just trying to increase my chances to get some value. But so then I think the consensus at the table was to open the oldest booster first.
Yeah, we did. We went in, oldest to newest in terms of the packs that you had, and it was sweet.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I had Darksteel. I got to open the Darksteel pack, which was really cool because a lot of the stuff, like that was one of the sets that I played with initially, and it was cool to just see all these old cards. I'm like, I remember all this stuff. Like there was some really fun things in there, like Razor Golem, which is one of the cards that I remember just being like so pumped on because it had Vigilance before Vigilance was a keyword. Attacking doesn't cause this creature to tap. And it's a 6-mana 3/4 with Affinity for Planes. So it's like OG Affinity stuff, which was really cool. Didn't take that because it's not actually very good. But it was really fun.
There was a mix of players at the draft table. There were some newer players and older players. So there was a real cross section of people that were looking at cards with a real nostalgia, like when they opened their packs, and others that looked at cards with some confusion, where a
total horror, I think, is probably more apt.
Yeah, and it was a
sounds like me.
Yeah, it was a great demonstration of how real power creep is, I guess, as well. So things that we thought were really, really good cards during those sets, when you compare, especially coming off the back of Throne of Eldraine, which was, quite a powerful set. So yeah, it was a very fun experience, and I myself first picked a Monastery Mentor. It was the best white card in the pack, and seemed like it would synergize well with just spells. So you don't get those cross set synergies, but just drafting a good deck is key. Cracker, what did you first pick?
Yeah, so I just realised that I didn't open Darksteel. It was something else, and I can't remember what it was. But the reason I thought it was Darksteel because it had a lot of artifacts. And I ended up picking, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's a 2-mana artifact where you can tap it and pay X, and target player puts that many cards from the top of their library into the graveyard. So it was great. I drafted this really defensive green-blue deck, and that was my main win condition. I had Grindstone, which I never saw, but it was just...
You wheeled that, yeah? In the draft?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
it was great, and it was a lot of fun. And so I stayed really open. I drafted just a lot of colourless ramp, and my plan was to just mill people out, and it worked.
I'm glad I didn't go now.
No, it was great fun, Scott. It was great.
I was a red-white aggressive deck in the end, Scott, so I didn't play against Cracker. I mulliganed to 4 in Game 3 against Shorty, got him to 2 life, and then he overcame me. So I didn't quite make the finals to play Cracker, but...
Shorty did in his stupid Mardu deck, and I had we were like, wait, so he had 1 turn to kill me before I milled him out, and he top-decked the removal spell. He needed to do exact lethal.
Must be
in
nice.
Game 3. It wasn't nice at all.
Pretty sure he cheats, yeah.
I don't think I've ever beaten Shorty in a draft. I think we meet in the final quite a bit, and I always just lose to him. Because I'm always playing some dirtily thing, and he's always just kicking my teeth in.
I told you last podcast he burnt my cards in front of me, so,
Whilst wearing a fez, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Goes beyond cheating.
Yeah. I realised, Cracker, that, you did not open the Darksteel pack. It was the person
that was my realisation.
To my right, because I got past a sword. So first turn, Monastery Mentor. Second turn, Sword of Light and Shadow. My opponent took a fireball over it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right pick, but
I know that was not the right pick.
Yeah, so I was pretty happy to go, Monastery Mentor. So, Scott, Monastery Mentor is a 3-mana, white and 2 for a 2/2 human monk. He has Prowess, which is whenever you play a non-creature spell, he gets +1/+1. And he also has a secondary ability, let's say, which is whenever you play a non-creature spell, you put a 1/1 human monk creature token with Prowess into play. So he makes 1/1s that all get bigger. So I did have a game where on turn 4, I played the monk with a what's the protection spell with
God's Willing?
God's Willing, yeah, with the scry. So turn 4, played the monk with the God's Willing, snap that off against the removal spell, untap, play a land, play sword, equip. So I had the mentor with the sword and 2 1/1 prowess guys. So yeah, won that game. It was pretty sweet. So it was really, really fun to, just have a little trip down memory lane, and for newer players to, roll back the clock a little bit and, see what we used to, the tools that we used to play with. It was really good.
And you were saying that there were some there that don't play an awful lot, or?
Yeah, so we had Jack. So I've spoken about Jack and Stu a little bit. They're friends of the podcast. Shout out to Jack and Stu. Love a game of Commander, those guys. And they're teaching their kids to play it. It's amazing. It was actually the first time Jack ever drafted. And she said afterwards that it felt like she'd been awake for 6 days straight trying to process everything. So
I know that feeling.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really fun. It was like a real eye-opener to her that, someone who's played the odd game of Modern, but predominantly a Commander casual player, just playing with the kids, or the quintessential kitchen table player that is Jack loves her dragon Commander deck, to do something that was completely different, opened up all of those possibilities that Magic brings. There's so many different formats, so many different ways to enjoy the game, and she's indicated that something that she'd like to explore a little more, because it was a challenge, and she's the sort of person that wants to have a challenge and to overcome it. So yeah, drafting's certainly a challenge.
Oh, good. I'm glad that
everything is so wildly good.
Yeah, it was baptism of fire a little bit into the draft format, but she did really well. Her deck was okay. She in hindsight she realised that she probably could have made a few different picks, but she had a decent green-white mid-range deck with fat creatures and removal, which is nothing wrong with as a default position for a limited deck, creatures and removal. That's always a good place to start. So showed that she's got a good brain for the game.
Yeah, she did well. It was a lot of fun. So Chewy, speaking of other things that we've had going on and got going on, we are rapidly approaching our upcoming event.
Yeah. So for those who have been following us, like listening to the podcast or following us on social media, we have got, as we record this, in 9 days, so we won't record another episode of the cast beforehand, but we've got our bushfire fundraiser in 9 days on the 9th of February at Next Level Games in Ringwood here in Melbourne. Tickets are available online via the Facebook event, so they've started to sell, so jump in. It is going to be an awesome day. I think, as I mentioned in the last cast, $1,500 worth of prizes, 2 events, Australian 7-point Highlander, which I think we'll do a segment on at some point. It's kind of a difficult beast to dissect in a short space of time, but if you are interested, there is the 7-point Highlander cast, another Australian podcast. Shout out to those guys. They've got an awesome cast, and they talk about the decks and the format in general. So have a look at that. So Highlander with 2 OG dual lands, as in Savannah and Scrubland, up for first prize. 2 hours after that, so if you play Highlander, do terribly, O2 drop, you can jump straight into the Pioneer event, which has a San Diego Comic-Con Planeswalker promo set and a box of Kaladesh as top 2 prizes. So it's going to be awesome. All proceeds go to the CFA. There's going to be auctions on the day. I am not going to play. I'm going to have a camera with me on the day, and I'm going to do a bit of not coverage in the traditional sense, but I'll be around the place looking for cool plays, chatting to people with the camera in hand, doing a few little player interviews and such, and we'll have have something up on the YouTube page in the days following, I hope. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. Please support it, or support one of the many good charities that are helping out with the Australian bushfire situation. So it's really good, and it's at Next Level Games Ringwood, which I did spend a little bit of time at last weekend as well, for a different reason.
You've been spending a bit of time there recently, mate.
Yeah, basically.
And you haven't been O2 dropping like you thought you might.
No, it's always a risk, the O2 drop, but so if you go back and listen to the last cast, so pause this one here if you haven't, jump back, listen to it, come back. Okay, welcome back.
Welcome back.
I've always wanted to do that. So there was the WNPQs happening in Melbourne at the moment, which are modern, and the way that they were structured at Next Level at Ringwood were 2 64-player events, the top 16 of each event progressing to an invite-only 32-player event, winner-takes-all flights to the Players Tour Asia in Japan. So I managed to top 8 the first event, which qualified me for this one. 32 players, so 5 rounds. I made some updates to my Eldrazi Tron deck. My deck list is up on MTG Top 8. I'll throw up the link. It's on my Twitter at Chewy WPNQ, but I'll put it in the show notes as well for anybody interested. I got managed to top 8 again. I actually, thought I was doing quite well. I was 4 wins, 0 losses, and an intentional draw at the end of the Swiss, which locked me for top spot. So was really happy with my my performance. There was a lot of dredge in the room. I beat dredge in round 1, then I beat 5 Colour Snow, then I beat burn, and then mono red prowess. So a few mountains involved, but very different decks, and then had an intentional draw in the final round, and then I got the same as the 2 weeks before, unceremoniously ejected from the top 8 in the quarters. I lost pretty horribly. My opponent was on the Spike Feeder Heliod Abzan Collected Company combo deck and had turn 3 infinite life both games, and my only out was to find my one of Ulamog, and I didn't in the time that they managed to kill me. So, unfortunately, had a really good chance to, have another crack at the Pro Tour. I guess I'm a bit torn as far as how I feel about the result, because I top 8'd the last 2 events that I played, like a 64-player event, and then, the quote-unquote good players from 2 64-player events, I still managed to top the Swiss. So I should be really, really happy with that. And, in a vacuum, if you said that's how you're going to do, I'd be really stoked with that. But I do have sort of pangs of disappointment because the opportunities to get to the Pro Tour like that don't come along very often, especially when you're time poor like we are. So really happy with my result, really happy with my deck, largely happy with how I played. I did make some mistakes, but my deck was forgiving enough or good enough to me. But it has that sort of pang of disappointment that I didn't quite get there. But it was sweet.
You can't beat yourself up too much though, right? Because, you put yourself in the position both times to win, and you did exceptionally well to get into the top 8 of both. And look, if your opponent just nut draws you 2 games in a row, then, that's modern. That's magic, right? That's just one of the things that you just go into going, well, that's why, people in the Hall of Fame, they're counting PT top 8s, not PT wins, because to reach the top 8 means you've played really well and consistently for the day or the period.
But I want to get the nut draw, man. It's my turn to get the nut draw.
I know, but I'm trying to make you feel better that you're not going back to Japan. But, it happens, right? And it sucks that it happened to you instead of you just going chalice you out, reality smash you, game over. But, it's just the beats, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's what's so good about the game as well, even though it sucks to be on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, and look, my opponent every opponent that I played was, really, they were gracious in defeat. They were gracious in victory. It was a really good experience. The crew in general at Next Level in Ringwood, a good bunch of humans. I had a really good day. It's just, I feel like I got very close. I could see the prize, and then I just kind of stumbled at the end. So, but like I said, and as you said, 2 top 8s in a row at a decently high level of Magic. I'm really happy with those results. Thank you, Chris at Polywaffle, from the cast for lending me like bulk cards. Wouldn't have been able to get there without having the library that is your Magic collection. So thank you. And also I'm going to take the sort of public opportunity to thank you, Cracker. You played a whole bunch of games with me, both before the first event and before the second one. I learned a lot about my deck and the metagame through those games, so thank you.
Oh, good. No worries. I took full credit for every victory you had against the players.
Absolutely. But all this said and done, I feel like the rest of the beans need to pull their socks up a little bit. So in the first,
here we go.
Yeah. So now Scott, in the last cast, you got to have a little bit of a rant. This is my turn, okay? So I set out a bunch of challenges to the beans in the first episode of the year of 2020. I set out, Scott, just rock up to your game store and play some games. Shorty, top 8 of PTQ. Joel, go 4-0 in an event. Chris, 3-0 a draft. Right? It is not yet the end of the first month of the year, first month of January, and I have now, and this, I'm on my high horse. I'm fully aware of that, but I've met all those challenges. So not only have I thrown down the challenges, but I've also completed the challenges before anybody else has. So, I'm not saying that I'm, I'm kind of saying I'm awesome, but I think the rest of the beans need to, come to the party on these challenges. So
you've done all the work for us, and we can relax now.
So no, I've shown you that it can be done. I'm showing you that you can get to your game store, Scott. You can get to his game store and play some games.
I do pop in there a lot, just not for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly. You just go there to spend money, not spend time.
For the right reason.
Yeah. And Cracker, I managed to 4-0 the Swiss of that event, and Shorty, I made the top 8, and Chris, I 7-2 a draft, and then Joel and I we top 8'd we 3-0'd a vintage cube draft. So you get a little bit of credit for that, Cracker, but so I would really like to see some progress on that, please, Beans. That would be good.
Oh, well, so one of the challenges you threw to me was to get platinum. I have, in fact, managed to get Arena running on my laptop again, so, that's a good start.
Step one, yeah.
I put a deck together, I won some games, I was playing green-white hexproof. So, it's because they printed a whole bunch of auras in Theros Beyond Death, and also there's some in Throne of Eldraine as well. And so, the whole game plan is to, jam a early Paradise Druid and then just stick as many enchantments on there as you can and smack people in the head. I had a couple of cracking games last night, actually. I had one against the dude playing mono red, and I was at the position, I was completely dead on board next turn, and I had just one Paradise Druid with a bunch of stuff on it, but I hadn't been able to make any blocks, and he had about 10 things in play, and I managed to chain together a bunch of enchantments and then cast an Alseed, give my Druid protection from red, and smacked him from 17 to -4.
Oh, wow.
It was beautiful. And he gave me an early good game as well. I was like, yes, taste it.
The winning after the early good game is one of the most satisfying things you can do in Magic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's one of the best feelings ever.
Absolutely. So what rank are you at the moment, or
well,
you don't?
Let's not get into that.
Okay. But you're on your way. You're on your way.
We started at Bronze 4, and we're not in Bronze 4 anymore. But
okay, you're working your way up. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
This might take a little while.
Yeah. So
You've got a year.
Yeah, that's right. We got a year, so that's a time to build on it. And you got 12 months to get there with a deck in your hand and in time to play a tournament. Come on.
I just want to get in my Cavalcade deck out of its proxy stage, and then I'll be able to walk into a store.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
That's the only thing holding me back.
Yeah. So the tournament I played was a Pro Tour qualifier, or the WMPQ, whatever they're called now.
Players Tour.
Players Tour. Yeah. So
Players Tour, the PT. Yeah. But
yeah,
there's one this weekend.
Yeah. And they're non-arena, right? They're paper ones.
Yeah, they're Draft and Pioneer. So there's actually 2 this weekend, and then there's another one the weekend after that. So there's one in Asia, in Nagoya, there's one in Europe, in Brussels, and then there's one in, I think it's Arizona, the following week.
Okay.
So should be interesting. So it'll be, full Theros Beyond Death Draft, and then Pioneer.
So what impact do you think that Theros Beyond Death will have on Pioneer? Because I'm expecting a completely new metagame for Pioneer after the PT, leading into our event, which is good. So all listeners of the Bean should pay close attention to that coverage.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to try and catch as much as I can. Channel Fireball are actually doing a bunch of coverage for it, which is pretty sweet. It's been something that we've lacked for a while. It's weird because this is a whole new tournament structure. So it's not like a PT like we used to have, but it's not a GP either. It's kind of like halfway between the two, I guess. Because then if you win the PT, the Players Tour, then you go to like the Players Tour Finals, which is halfway between like Worlds and a PT. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, this is the new system, so we'll just see what happens and what comes of it. But
So what cards do you think are going to make an impact on Pioneer? There's an obvious one, which is Heliod with the Walking Ballista.
Walking Ballista.
So that's kind of a given, right?
Yeah. So there's been a bunch of mono black with like Grey Merchant of Asphodel and Bolas' Citadel, which is a little bit older now, but there'll be a bunch of that as well. So one of the decks, and I don't know if you've seen this one, Chewy, but I had to look up what people were up to. But people are like, Inverter of Truth is the truth. And I was like, what is Inverter of the Truth? And how do you win that? So I'm
doing a Google search now.
Sure. So Inverter of a Truth is 2 black. It's a 6/6 Eldrazi. It's devoid. It has flying, and it says, because there's a lot of text, when Inverter of Truth enters the battlefield, exile all cards from your library face down. Shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library. So what you do is you just take your library and you exile it, and then your graveyard becomes your library instead. Okay?
Okay.
You with me? And so then the win is not actually that. That just gets rid of your deck. But the win is then Thassa's Oracle, which is the new cards from Theros Beyond Death. And this one has a bunch of text as well. But basically it says when you enter the battlefield, you scry X, where X is your devotion, and then draw a bunch of cards. And then you win the game if you have no cards in your library. So it's like Laboratory Maniac.
So it's Lab Maniac-esque, but for 6 mana total, but you can split it over 2 turns if you've got some spell in your graveyard. So you might Fatal Push something to stay alive, and then you Inverter of Truth on turn 4. Fatal Push goes from your graveyard to become your library, and then you draw Fatal Push, cast Thassa's Oracle, win the game. So you can win the game on turn 5 without any mana acceleration.
Yep. And so the deck that I'm looking at here is just it's 8 creatures, so it's 4 Thassa's Oracle, 4 Inverter of Truth, 3 Jace Wielder of Mysteries, which has the same you win the game if you draw from an empty library clause.
Mm-hmm. Is Labman in Pioneer? No, okay.
No. And then the rest is just spells. So it's just like Fatal Push, Opt, Thoughtseize, Brutality, Bontu's Last Reckoning, Murderous Cut, Dig Through Time. So it's just like ways to find your combo and ways to not die. And that's it. So I'll be interested to see whether that's real or not. There's Chonky Red, as it's affectionately known.
Chonky.
Which is playing like Chonky Red. That sounds like your kind of deck, Scott.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was about to say.
Is Chonky a person, or is Chonky like husky, like thick with 2 C's?
It's basically just, instead of being big red, because Big Red was boring as a name, so they decided to call it Chonky Red because it's the same sort of thing. So it's playing like Glory Bringers.
Can we call you Big Red?
Sure. It's not the worst name that's
Can we call him Chonky Red? That's
Can we
the
call him
next question.
Chonky Red? Yeah.
Oh, hey now, hey.
Sorry. I digress.
That's fine. I'm not upset at all.
When we see you on Saturday, we'll say, "Hey, Chunky."
Thanks. Wow. Way to derail the guest host.
You're still my favourite host.
So you know Todd Anderson?
Yes.
Of SCG fame, and now streams a lot. It is one of his kind of builds. Initially, he's credited for putting this together. And yeah, it's got just bigger stuff. So they're doing like Chain Whirlers and Rebel Masters, Torbans, Glory Bringers. Scott, a couple of Chandras in there for you, buddy.
Excellent.
Switch of Defiance, the 4-mana Chandra, she's really good. A couple of Ember
You had me at
Cleaves.
Torbrand as well.
Yeah. So it's not the super aggro, like low to the ground mono red deck that you see a lot, but it's just some of the bigger, more powerful spells. So it'll be interesting to see whether that's a deck that comes up. You know, there's some new cards in from the last couple of sets there as well. So there's a bunch of stuff. Blue-white control will be a thing because that's what people like to do. There'll be a bunch of ramp as well.
Arena. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's strong.
Yeah.
I did a couple of games with Chris over the weekend, and he was playing mono green ramp because that's what Chris likes to do.
That deck's really good. I think Chris needs more forests in his deck, but I think the deck's really good.
The deck is really good, and it made me sad because he kept playing Hydras with Reach, and my little Siren Storm Tamers just couldn't get past 8/8 Hydras. So,
and World Breakers and all the rest of it. Yeah.
No, it got ugly pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens now that the pros have got their hands on it. Right? Like, these are people who are not out to do the most fun that they can. They're out to do the most busted that they can. So, you know, there was that whole period where Pioneer was going through bans. You know, every week there was a new card ban or 2 new cards banned, but it's been settled down for, you know, since Christmas really now. And format seems really interesting, but this will settle it, I guess. This will give us the first really strong, this is the metagame, this is tier 1. And then the following week will be really interesting because then you've had, you know, 2 weekends of 2 lots of pros from different parts of the world trying to break it. And then you'll have all the North American pros who have got a week to look at what did well and see what they can do to break it post that. So,
as well as the fine folks at our event at Next Level Games Ringwood,
correct.
Really breaking the format.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
That's where all the news will happen.
Exactly.
Well, Chewy's going to do a bunch of deck techs for us, so should be sweet.
Yeah, I reckon I'll have a crack at it.
Yeah, so yeah, it should be really interesting to see what's kind of comes out of this. And then, yeah, not sure what else is happening there in terms of, there's some notes here about Underworld Breach. I don't know what that's doing in Pioneer. I know it's busted in Legacy. But,
well, Yawgmoth Will's a good card, right? It's probably going to see some play in Modern. I remember when we were streaming the other night, someone played it against us in Standard with the 1,000 Year Storm deck, but
that's right.
Our Uros had gained us enough life to stay out of reach, and we got there. But if the card's seeing any play in Standard, it's probably going to see a lot of play in older formats. And I mean, being able to cast your spells for, you know, from the graveyard without exiling them is a real thing. I've heard a lot of talk about Brainstorm, where you can, you know, brainstorm yourself, you know, for the first time, and that effectively with this in play, and that gives you a, you know, effectively, you know, 15 extra cards in hand, which is exactly what you want to see when you brainstorm. So yeah, interesting to see how that goes. So
lots of powerful things. It'll be it should be fun.
If the card's potentially ban worthy or potentially does nothing, and I guess that's what the pros are doing right now, figuring that out. Yeah,
for sure. So Scott, there was something else that popped up this week that you had seen and you wanted to have a quick chat about. This is the 4th in the Silver Border series. Is it number 4 now?
Yeah, I think so.
This is the Unsanctioned.
Yeah, Unsanctioned.
Okay, is this the 4th? wasn't even aware
So
of that.
there was Unhinged and Unglued a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Really long time ago. Probably 15, 17 years ago.
Which was the first one? Unhinged. And then Unglued. Then Unglued had some really good basic lands. And then, so as someone who doesn't necessarily... Well, I don't think I've ever played a game of Silverboard Magic, but I get excited about new basic land art. But I think other people, it appeals to other people on different axes, I'm sure. But the lands from this are kind of cool. But have you looked at the other cards that have been spoiled so far, previewed so far, Scott?
Yeah, I was looking at on the Wizard side at the moment. There's a list of all the cards, and one of the ones that sort of got me was one of the first red cards that they've listed there is the Abstract Ignorat. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. And I love it. Whenever you cast a spell, note the first letter of the artist's name. If that letter hasn't already been noted, put a 1/1 counter on Abstract. And I just thought that's so cool. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just that the whole idea that you're using an artist's name it's just cool to me. So what I liked about this, and I'd never heard of this before, and I was talking to Cracker about it earlier. I went out a little while ago and bought Keyforge because that was the flavour of the month at the time. Just after I bought it, people stopped playing it, which I thought, well, that's great timing. And then I saw this. I think Shorty put the notes up in our post cast notes. I hadn't seen this before. I didn't even know this existed until about 5 hours ago. And I thought, what is this game? And I thought this just reminds me of Keyforge. And then Cracker was just telling me before that the guy that created Magic is the guy behind Keyforge.
Oh, it's a Richard Garfield special, is it?
It is.
Yeah, Keyforge is Richard Garfield.
Oh, there you go.
And it also started, all the dots were starting to align. And I thought, okay. And so, again, I don't know an awful lot about Unsanctioned and how it works, but the idea that you can just buy a box and you have the 5 different decks in that box, and I'm assuming it's the same deck in every single box that's out there. They're not going to be different decks. It's just a really cool way to just pick up a box and play with some crazy cards in there as well from the looks of it.
Yeah, okay. Look, maybe that's something that that we'll do as a bit of an event that we can do as a Beans event in the coming months. When does it come out? The end of Feb, right?
End of Feb, yeah. I couldn't find Australian prices anywhere, so
I'm sure Chris is all over it.
Yeah, I think Amazon, American Amazon, was around $29. So
per booster.
I don't know, per box. So I think they're just selling it as the box.
Oh, right. So not
the
individual.
box comes with 530 card decks in it.
Yeah.
And that's
right.
what each box comes with 1 or 5 of each of the full art lands.
Ah,
I don't
interesting.
know the exact number. So the full art, if you haven't checked them out, the full art lands are really pretty. Again,
they're really pretty.
They've taken elements of all the different full art lands from all the different unsets.
I'm still not over to the Theros full art lands yet, so I'm not quite ready to fully process those yet. So
and is it the same? So you get 30 card decks that you can then combine into two coloured decks or into one 2-coloured deck. Is it the same cards in every single box set, or is it going to be different cards?
Haven't read that much about it.
No, I don't.
All I care about is new pretty lands.
There's one card that I saw that I did like the look of, though. It's called Flavor Judge, and it's a chicken in a ref's uniform, and it says choose target spell or ability that targets a permanent you control, then ask that person outside the game if the story of what will happen makes sense. If they say no, sacrifice Flavor Judge, encounter that spell or ability.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Are you guys in any of those Magic Facebook groups where people spam custom cards?
Yeah.
And they're really annoying. They're really annoying when they do it in spoiler season, because you look at a card and you go, what? That is so overpowered and busted, and whoever designed this is an idiot, and you go, oh, that's because that's not a real card, and the person that designed it, is probably an idiot. But anyway, it's a please don't do custom cards on Facebook groups during preview season. ever.
Yeah,
Anybody.
Stop putting fetch lands with the new set symbol in it, all right? No one's buying it.
That'd be great. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Appreciate it.
but yeah,
because we're grumpy old men.
We are. We just want to know what's going to go in our decks. Is it good for my current list of commander decks? Is it good for me to play in constructed? Is it going to make the cube? I have some criteria of which I judge new cards on, that I've just realized that I have. I've never really given it that much thought before just now, but maybe that's a whole segment for the future. But card evaluation. But anyway, people have a lot of fun with these, and if it's a set that's designed to play across the kitchen table with your friends, then that's pretty cool. It's something that you can keep together, and hey, you want to play some Magic, this is a bit quirky, and you can bust it out and play. So that's something that you want to you can do with some friends while you're have at a dinner party or something. So it's pretty sweet.
There's a card called Elvish. Yeah, there's a card here called Elvish Impersonators. It's basically just a bunch of elves look like Elvis Presley. Yeah.
Oh wow!
It looks like there's a bunch of reprints too. So there's like.
I hope they have. Do they have protection from hound dogs or something? I don't know. They need it. Yeah. So some reprints as well. Okay. Cheaty Face is one of those cards that's kind of synonymous with those. Like I made a Cheaty Face reference last week where someone realised they had two sleeves. There are two cards in a sleeve, and the first thing that came to mind was it must be Cheaty Face. So I guess that's the when they get something right, as far as flavour or design in a card that sticks around. Like I remember in a previous unset they had Little Girl, I'm going to say, and it was a half mana, half power, half toughness. So, if she attacked you, you would, go to 19.5. But it was printed in the days when mana burn was still a thing. So if you tapped one land for Little Girl, you'd take half a point of damage from mana burn. So it was pretty cute in that sense. So if little things like that, stick around and become part of the game in that sense, part of the game's folklore, then that's pretty cool.
There are some cards here that'll make me want to play blue, I've decided. I love Cheaty Face. Carnivorous Death Parrot. I love that. Flying at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Carnivorous Death Parrot unless you say it's flavor text, which is save a kill spell and deal with this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm loving this. This is good.
Okay. All right, let's someone buy it and we'll play it and it'll be a hoot.
I'll get it.
Okay,
done.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
All right. Well, I think that actually wraps us up for this cast. It's a little bit shorter, but that's okay. They tend to run a little longer than we'd like. But it's been good. Thank you for hanging out. We've mentioned a few of our things that we're up to. So we've got our YouTube channel where Chewy uploads a bunch of videos. We've got the stream. We've got Facebook. We are Magic Beans Cast on all of those places, or Magic Beans, you'll find us. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, that'd be great. We are at Magic Beans Cast. If you want to find me, I am at JoelHill_. Chewy, you are?
At Chewy MTG.
And Scott, you are?
At The Real Blaster.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out. Try catch some coverage for this event over the weekend. Hopefully it's really sweet. And hopefully we'll see a whole stack of you on the 9th at Next Level in Ringwood. Even if you don't want to play in any of the competitions, there's going to be a whole lot of other stuff going on. We'll be cruising around. We'll have decks of all sorts of different formats and things. So,
come hang out.
Come hang out. We'll be wearing shirts that say Magic Beans on it with our symbol, so you can't miss us. And just, tell us we're idiots or say g'day or something like that. It'd be awesome. We want to see everyone. It should be sweet. So,
I might even step out of my comfort zone and bring some red decks.
Unfortunately, Scott, this doesn't count because it's not your local game store.
I'm coming anyway. I'm bringing those red decks.
Okay, I'm going to make a...
I'm coming.
I'm going to make an impromptu announcement. Anybody who brings a copy of Cavalcade of Calamity and gets Scott to sign it, for each copy, I will donate $5 to the cause. There you go. So
Ooh.
bring cavalcades. Scott will sign them, and I'll put $5 of my own money into the course. So even if you're not going to play, just bring down your cavalcades, and Scott will have a Sharpie, and you can put your John Hancock on there, and
I'm just going to devalue their cards.
no,
I don't know
collector's
that you
item.
are, man. I don't. They're not exactly high value cards in the first place.
Exactly. I'm going to be devaluing them even more.
But no. Well, what's the value of a donation to such a worthy cause? So it's a I'll do that if that gets one extra person into the shop just to be there and hang out and be part of the event. I'm happy to part with a few bucks for that. So get on it, and we'll see you all there.